So welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us. This is a Smith.ai Masters webinar, and I am Maddy Martin. I am the Head of Growth and Education for Smith.ai. We are a 24/7 virtual receptionist service, mostly serving small businesses, many of whom are law firms. We've been around since 2015, and in that time, we have expanded beyond answering calls to answering live website chat, text messages, and Facebook messages. And we work really closely with a lot of other systems and services and vendors. We really praise any virtual remote work supplements and outsourcing solutions. So we have come to know the folks at Lawfecta. Stacey is the founder, is that right?
Yes.
And she provides an incredible offering to attorneys who are needing the help of a paralegal, of a legal assistant, but really don't have the wherewithal or the stomach for hiring full-time staff. The work is variable, and maybe there is better quality that you can obtain by using Stacey and her team rather than if you're in a remote location or rural. It may be very hard to find quality talent and help. So there are a number of reasons, some of which Stacey will go through today. But Stacey, if you could introduce yourself for today's topic, which is really improving your client service, winning new clients through outsourced solutions. And we'll be focusing on law firms today as the main example, but a lot of these practices relate to all types of businesses, especially in the professional services realm. So Stacey, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came to create this wonderful company.
Yeah, definitely. Well, hello everyone. My name is Stacey Lee. I've been in the legal industry for about 15 years now, and I created Lawfecta in 2017 after being a paralegal working in law offices, and I was in Los Angeles commuting to work. I'm sure a lot of us, especially those in metropolitan areas, have suffered with the commute. I used to commute 3 hours, 1.5 hours each way to work. And I just really knew there could be a better solution for attorneys, better solution for the paraprofessionals that work for them. So I really wanted to create something that would be beneficial to law firms, that would allow them to have to utilize their dollar to the maximum potential, and so that attorneys don't have to worry about paying payroll expenses, paying for breaks or things of that nature. We're basically an on-demand service that allows attorneys and other small businesses to utilize us to the maximum degree to get a lot of things done, so that attorneys and business owners can focus on the growth of their business and not working in their business.
Wonderful. Well, I think, sometimes these conversations turn into just dialogue and Q&A, but actually Stacey has prepared a really fantastic deck that I had the chance to preview. So she's going to share her screen and go through some key points that she wanted to highlight, and then we will have time for questions. I might interrupt her, but I think we're just going to let her run for a few minutes and tell us what we really need to know about outsourcing.
You guys ready? Okay,
Ready.
I will share my screen. Whoops. Okay, so again, everyone, thank you for joining us today. My name is Stacey, and I'm the Managing Director and the founder of Lawfecta. We do outsource virtual paralegal and legal secretary services for attorneys and businesses in the United States. So with this webinar, Saving Time and Winning Clients Using Outsourced Services, there's a few key takeaways that we want to impress upon everybody. And that's to work on your business, not in your business, as well as determining what type of projects and services should be outsourced. And then we'll also go over what solutions you can use to find the best person or the company to outsource to. And lastly, we'll go over how to create a basic turnkey system of automation, which basically means that your system working with clients is automated, it flows well. And that's really how we win clients, is customer satisfaction and fast communication. So the myth of multitasking. Research by the American Psychological Association shows that what you think is multitasking is ineffective and inefficient. Most of us think of multitasking as a necessary part of life. How else could we possibly meet the demands of our overscheduled, hectic lives? Really, the truth is you can only multitask if one or more of the tasks is second nature. So that's things like walking or chewing gum. It doesn't require any brain power. Two, the tasks being performed involve different brain processes. So for instance, if you're reading a book and listening to classical music, that is involving different brain processes. However, if you listen to music with lyrics while reading a book, you're going to less take in what you are reading. So as business owners, most of us believe that multitasking is the key to getting more done, but in reality, it's just setting us back. So why outsource? You can reduce expenses. Operating expenses can shrink by 25 to 60%. It improves company focus. By outsourcing, you increase the company's focus on tasks that are deemed more vital to grow your business, and you have an extensive talent pool available to you. So rather than relying on the talents in-house or local to you, outsourcing allows you to draw from a pool of potential talent. So those are just some basic reasons to outsource, but I'm sure many of us can find a lot of benefits to outsourcing depending on our industry. Other benefits can include increased productivity, reduced stress, increase of profits, gives us more time, provides us more energy, allows us more time to focus, and helps us build foundations. So outsourcing helps you buy back your time. And this is something we talk a lot about with our clients when they want to discuss outsourcing, is how do they buy back their time? Well, we always say you need to establish your value within your business, buy back your own time, and outsource everything else. So basically what buying back your time consists of is doing the tasks that generate new clients or revenue. So that's business growth. That's what a business owner should be focusing on. So if you're doing tasks that can be delegated out, you're losing money. And so outsourcing really helps you focus on the key elements of your business that's growth generating, and you can outsource everything else. So what do I outsource? Well, this is where a lot of people get stuck. Many business owners know that they want to delegate work, but they don't know how to get started. You can free up 20% or more of your time each workday with outsourcing to focus on the responsibilities that really matter. So where do we start with this? So working on our business, not in our business. To start, we always kind of generally think of what can somebody easily take over. So this is determining which tasks are taken away from your time from growing your business and can be handed over quickly. So this is a focus on easy and or small tasks. So this would be things like receptionist services, live chat services, new client intake, all that Smith.ai does. These are all things that can easily be handled by them, transitioning to them with minimal direction. Second, it's do you require a specialized skill? So these are tasks that need your direction to complete or requires a specific skill set, not easily taught. So these are the areas to invest in niche-based companies that put a focus on specific skills. So legal research, legal document drafting, you would look for like a law clerk or a paralegal. Content marketing experts, you would look specifically for a marketing company. And lastly, what is taking time away from growth? So you start your focus on small tasks that can quickly be handed over. This will free up time to put attention into outsourcing or automating other areas of your business. So this is basically saying that when you outsource, try to start the small tasks. The more small tasks you can get off of your plate, the more time in other areas of your business you're going to be able to focus on. And you're going to be able to start outsourcing these tasks and then really fine tune what it is that the growth strategies are and what it is you should be focusing on. And so we also have a handout that we created that has more information and a worksheet to build out your outsource list. So this is a non-exhaustive list of things that can be outsourced. I want to show the amount of categories that can be broken down of tasks and or projects that can be outsourced. In the handout that we have that will go to everybody later via email, it goes more into more exhaustive lists and more information on who to outsource to. So this is just kind of like a general, a general list to kind of show you that there's a lot of different head category and subcategory of things that can be outsourced out. So administrative work generally can be sent to like a virtual assistant or somebody in that nature. Legal work can be outsourced to law clerks, virtual paralegals. Marketing, there are independent marketers, freelancers, or there are dedicated digital marketing companies. New client, this is a lot of stuff that actually Smith.ai does, new client intake, receptionist, live chat support, schedule new consultations. These are things that can be outsourced to receptionist companies. There's also live chat support companies that focus on these areas as well. Client support, this is an area that you can refer to virtual assistants, administrative assistants to assist with client support. And that's also, helping when clients have issues, rectifying support tickets, and miscellaneous tasks. Those can be things that can be outsourced usually to a virtual assistant, or it can be a niche focused company. So for instance, podcast interviews, having a virtual assistant reach out to different podcast companies to schedule interviews. That's a good marketing tactic. So those are some things that you can outsource. So then we get the question, who do we outsource to? How do you find those individuals or companies to outsource to? So there's a couple different ways to go about it. One, we have what's called a gig-based platform. So these are basically marketplaces that have freelancers available to perform work across a lot of different disciplines, administrative, digital marketing, things like that. Essentially what you do on these platforms is you go on, you post a project or a task, and freelancers can submit proposals to you on how they can assist. You can see their resume online and their rate for any specific project or what their normal hourly rate is. You can choose a freelancer, you can browse profiles, look at their background, you can see reviews on them, and see if you want to select and engage them directly. And you can actually, on these platforms, have a discussion directly in the platform together. You can compare proposals, if any proposals of freelancers that responded to your posting. And when you determine which freelancer you'd like to work with, you award your project to your freelancer and they start. Now, when it comes to payment, you can pay safely using milestone payments or pay upon completion. So these companies have an escrow built in. And so your money is secured and not paid to the freelancer until you're satisfied. Milestone payments are a way to check in with your freelancer to ensure you are happy along the way. So for instance, you can have 3 milestones, a start, a middle point, and a final milestone, where you check progress. And if the freelancer has completed the project at the set milestone to your satisfaction, the freelancer will get 1/3 of the final payment at each milestone. And so that's a way for you as well as the freelancer to both be on the same page of where you guys are at. And so it's a secure system to allow your freelancer doesn't get payment until you notify the platform that you're satisfied with what you received. So a couple popular platforms out there that do these gig-based marketplaces are Freelancer, Guru, and the most popular one is Upwork. So niche-focused companies. So basically what niche-focused companies are is niche-focused companies basically are companies that focus directly on a skill or a type of industry or handling specific projects. So some niche focused companies that you can outsource to would be Smith.ai, which is virtual reception and live chat support, bench.co, which is automated bookkeeping and business tax filing, Social Bee, which is social media marketing and content marketing, Conroy Creative Counsel is web design and digital marketing services, and Lawfecta. We specialize in virtual paralegal, virtual legal secretary, and virtual assistant services. So you can kind of see that we have very specific, niche that we do. And so even though we might not be focused on one industry and we might work with different ones, we're still very knowledgeable and specific in what we do. So it would be my recommendation to work with niche focused companies over gig-based platforms. Reason being is the gig-based platforms don't vet their teams or don't vet the individuals on their platform. So somebody can completely make up their resume versus niche focused companies have hiring processes that are more secure. And that's definitely something that if you work with a niche focused company, ask them about their hiring practices so you can better understand if it's going to be a good match for you.
So I have one question, Stacey, for you, just to interrupt here for a second. Yeah. There are a couple of things that come to mind, in terms of guaranteeing the work, in terms of ensuring the work, and then finally, conflict checks and actually confidentiality when it comes to, the legal profession in particular. Can you address sort of those three areas and how, at least from your experience at Lawfecta, how you handle that and how maybe that differs from a gig-based platform?
Yeah, sure. So I'm fairly confident with the gig-based platforms that they do not do conflict checks. Essentially, it's anybody can go on there and hire anybody, and there's no real protocol they have to follow. So particularly on Upwork, they actually have a paralegal section category on there with a few paralegals that are available to hire. It's individuals who have just graduated from paralegal school all the way to people who have 20 plus years of experience. And so it's really up to them to have their own internal conflict checks and confidentiality, but there really is no guarantee there. Now, when it comes to niche focused companies, so a company like mine is with our hiring practices, we go through a really serious vetting. So you have to go through, it takes from interview all the way to onboarding, it's about 6 weeks, 6-week process. And so one of the things that they have to do before they onboard onto our platform is sign a confidentiality agreement. And so it goes in confidentiality for us and for our clients. And typically when a client signs up with us, we'll give them the confidentiality agreement so they're able to see what's in that document, as well as ensure that it has been executed and signed. And when it comes to conflict checks internally, we are really rigid about that as well. Anytime one of our clients gives us a new project, we have a whole conflict checking system that each individual goes through, because we take it very seriously, because it is the legal profession, and should a conflict occur, that can really devastate a case. And so we have all those practices on our end solidified. But again, with gig-based platforms, it's up to that individual to have their own systems in place. And so I can't comment as to that, but I can say that working with niche focused companies, they do have their systems down more in line with what their clients are going to need, and when it comes to confidentiality and securing things like conflict checks.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that. And one last thing that I'll mention here, I mean, I have, in previous work used Upwork, and, one of the things you have to be really careful about that sometimes isn't immediately obvious unless you read the fine print, is that if you try and take someone off of these platforms, if you use them as your own personal marketplace for hiring instead of going on Indeed or working with a niche focused company, you can actually face severe and very steep penalties, which may include getting kicked off the platform, getting a severe fine. There are very steep penalties and costs associated with trying to take one of the professionals off for your own project, because there are percent fees that not only do you pay that build into the cost of the freelancer, but that the freelancer pays actually in order to get paid, which can be 10 to 20%. So if you are being charged a fine that is basically assuming that cost that they're going to miss out on, it can be substantial. Now, differently, if you bring a freelancer onto a platform like that because you need a payment transactional work tracking system, you can do that, but you jeopardize two things. You know, let's say you have someone who is part-time or an assistant, you're like, it would make life really easy for me if you use Upwork's time tracker, for example. And we've seen people do that. In fact, I've even experimented with that. You open them up into a marketplace that you don't necessarily want to share them with others. You add complexity to them that's not necessarily required if you just instead got them a time tracker, like Harvest is free, for example.
Yeah.
So think about why you're exploring those platforms. Typically, there are other solutions that can be better long-term, especially if you plan to develop long-term relationships with those freelancers.
Absolutely. And to expand on what you just said, because in California, we actually have a law that was passed in 2020 called, it's Assembly Bill 5, AB 5. It essentially made it so that it's very narrow legislation to allow individuals to be independent contractors.
Right.
So it slashed the independent contractor work here in California drastically. And so on these gig-based platform, if there's Californians on there working as an independent contractor, that can be a misclassification. And those penalties go to the individual who hired the independent contractor, and the penalties are upwards of like $10,000 per instance. And so niche focused companies typically don't hire independent contractors. They typically hire employees. So for instance,
Right.
for my company, they are employees. So within California, we won't have any misclassification issues of working with these law firms and these businesses, versus on these gig-based platforms, there may be those issues. So it's also like a compliance issue as well.
I'm so glad that you mentioned that, Stacey. And I'll say one other thing, which is that if you think that you're not treating them as an employee, if you are telling them how to do their job and you're going into detail and you have your way of doing it that you want them to follow, which is very often the case, then you are not using them as an independent contractor. If someone comes in to put in a new toilet in your bathroom, you're not going to tell them how to put the toilet in. That's fine. Same thing for plenty of other professions. You don't tell your wealth advisor how to do their job. Maybe they're contracting. But the difference with a lot of this work, especially when it comes to assistants and paralegals, is that you have to get in deep. So you have a manager, a managerial team for a paralegal team, a legal assistant team, a receptionist team, who is that person that controls the quality of work, and you outsource to that company, knowing that they understand your general directions and can follow them, but they are the experts, and you leave it to Stacey and her team to make sure that they continue to hire people who have that level of expertise. So there's a really clear line there that you don't want to cross.
Definitely. Definitely. So there's a lot that goes into outsourcing. So, companies like us, when a lot of clients have these questions because they know that there can be misclassification issues. And so that was one thing that for us, we really took, when we were creating this, really, we took that into account to ensure that everything we do, it will not be a misclassification rollover to our client, because that would be the individual who would get that penalty. So that's another thing to always keep in mind, is compliance with the laws when it comes to outsourcing. And so that's another reason why I always recommend niche focused companies over gig-based platforms. So how does outsourcing help us win clients? Because that's the real thing, right? We know that it can help us free up our time, can help us delegate so we can focus more. But how in the long term does it help us win clients, get new clients? So let's look at some statistics here. So 42% of the time, law firms take an average of 3 or more days to respond to a message from a new potential client. Also, 3% of callers gave up before the phone was even answered. Most likely, prospective clients frustrated by their inability to reach a person. So the average human attention span is now shorter than a goldfish's, and that's serious. Okay. A recent study found that the average human attention span has fallen from 12 seconds in 2000 to 8 seconds in present day. So potential new clients, they want instant satisfaction and gratification. When they can't get a live person or get their questions answered when they want to, they will move on. 40% of customers start buying from a competitor because of their reputation for great customer service. So how do we utilize this knowledge to grow our businesses and win clients? Well, we create a turnkey system of automation. And so that is a combination of human interaction and AI and automation that basically allows our clients or our interested clients to get the information they need to take the next step to build a relationship with us. So from the moment someone learns about your brand all the way until they buy from you, they pass through different stages of your sales funnel. So you want to keep this system to be so fine-tuned, you can easily pass it off to someone to handle a majority of the tasks. Even if you don't realize it right now, you have a sales funnel, it just may not be fine-tuned right now. So for how these funnels start, you'll see that we have the client journeys. They go downward into your funnel and all the way until they get to where we want them to be, a paid client, a retainer. So the funnel starts with your potential new client visiting your website. They contact the firm, whether via phone, email, or live chat. You learn more about their issue or problem to determine if they are an ideal client to move them down the funnel. Once you have a consult scheduled or a meeting booked, this is any action that clients take to book a meeting or get more information from you. So these are the leads that are most serious about your service, meaning you have a greater chance of converting them because it is extremely hard it's easy to get people to your website. The hard part is getting them to book a meeting, submit a contact form, or things like that. So when somebody does that, they're reaching out to you, those are your most serious leads. Those are your most serious clients to convert. When you get to intake form, this is where you're learning more about your client and how you can assist them. So this gives you the information, the knowledge that you can explain to your client how I am the best fit for you. So with retainer, you get down to retainer, they have signed up, they've paid. After retainer, your client is going to go into a new funnel that we do not have here, but it's called advocacy, which is your funnel to provide ongoing customer service and support their needs beyond your immediate service. So our funnel doesn't end here. They get looped into another one of where we have to make sure we're providing great customer service. So that means, having a client support ticket system that clients can easily share when they have an issue or need assistance with something. You want to have that kind of automated. As well, an advocacy stage is also you collecting testimonials. Having online reviews is very, very important to marketing and company growth.
So one thing that I'll mention, before you go into all this detail, which looks amazing, is that if you are only using the solutions that Stacey is talking about right now, and you're wondering, like, everyone says, they have a machine, there's this engine that's running, they have all these automated systems. Why isn't mine converting better? Sometimes it's in the individual decisions and preferences that are made in the human sort of setup of this funnel that's the difference between it working well and it not working well. And what I specifically call out almost every single time when I am reviewing different funnels that we see for our own clients sometimes is that we know 47% of consumers don't answer a call back. They don't pick up their phone because we have a spam problem in this country and frankly in the world. It's not getting taken care of for us. It's on the onus of companies like Smith.ai and your private cell phone settings. But the problem is that because of all this rampant spam, and even now creeping into text messages, when people see an unknown number calling them back, they're not going to pick up and you lose your chances. Even if you think you're being responsive, oh, I have so-and-so, they take a message for me and then I call them back. That's not the ideal way of doing it. Like when we see contacts firm at this second step here, it should lead directly into setting that consultation during that call because that caller was properly qualified to set up that consultation. You are much more likely to be upset that you didn't win business because you can't get back in touch with that lead than if you waste a little bit of time once in a while having a consultation with an unqualified client. You cut the consultation fairly short unless they're paying you for a certain amount of time for that consultation, and you move on, you refine your directions. But it is deeply infuriating to miss a lead because that person who is on the phone with the lead, whether it's in staff, whether it's you, or whether it's outsourced to a receptionist, doesn't have the opportunity through the directions that you provide to them to schedule an appointment for a consult on your calendar. It takes a few simple questions. Are they in the right area? Is it the right practice area match? Do they have an ability to pay? Do they match with sort of the time frame and expectations? Do they need someone tomorrow? Well, maybe not. Do they understand that you're not available till next week? Fine. So if you are able to vet and then schedule, you will have so much more success moving from those who are in type 2 who contact the firm. They're qualified, which is sort of this underlying step that happens between the light blue and the green here. And then they're offered a consultation. And what that does is it secures you on their calendar and on yours, and that will stop their hunt for the professional they're looking for. In this case, we're talking about attorneys as the example.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Those are some great points. And I have a little bit of I'm actually going to expand on a couple of those points as well. So here we have a more expansive funnel, but it's definitely not exhaustive. Everybody's funnel looks different. This is just some of the basic things that I added here. You can add 10 different categories under some of these and slash off some of these. But these are some of the things I feel is really important, particularly for law firms when they have somebody enter their funnel. So this shows us along the client journey, some of the automations and the outsourcing we can do to win clients. 81% of companies who are able to deliver excellent customer service outperform their competition. So outsourcing new client acquisition and existing client support translates to increased sales productivity, reduced overhead, and the ability to scale your business with fewer resources. So we want to utilize automation combined with live human interactions to have a winning client acquisition and support flow. So PNC Visits website. Although I didn't note it here because I wanted to focus on conversions of leads that have taken the next step with you, there's a lot of lead nurturing that you can do here. In this phase of the funnel, you look into outsourcing certain marketing tasks, content marketing for creation of ebooks, freebie checklists, case studies to provide potential new clients for free. And this, once you provide it to them, they enter in an email address, and that's them moving to the next stage of your funnel. So you also want to, outsource with PNC Visits websites to marketing agencies familiar specifically with retargeting. And retargeting are campaigns that remind your website visitors of your service after they leave your website without buying anything. So I'm sure you visited Amazon, saw a product, and then later on we're browsing Facebook and there's an ad for that product or something similar. That's what's called retarget marketing. And so that's something that would be in the PNC Visits website funnel, because those are all marketing tactics basically in that area. But once the potential new client takes the next step and they contacts the firm, we move into the next part of the funnel. So remember that statistic we went over earlier. 3% of callers gave up before the phone was even answered. Most likely, the prospective client was frustrated by their inability to reach a person. So having an on-demand 24/7 receptionist and live chat assistant curbs these pain points and potentially takes away a client's need to evaluate competitors, because they're already receiving assistance, like Maddy went over earlier. And so outsourcing these services gets you more meetings booked into your calendar and takes the client to the next step of your funnel. Also, having an online booking calendar is another passive way to utilize automation to get more meetings scheduled. So if a client lands on your website at 3 a.m. in the morning and you don't have anybody available, the potential new client can use your booking system to schedule themselves a consult. And some of these systems have verification protocols to qualify the individual to ensure that it is an ideal client that you can work with, so that you aren't getting individuals booking into your system that is not something you would handle customarily. So once console gets set, there's a few things we can do to keep our automation, keep our brand on the mind of the client. You want to have automated confirmation emails and send text message reminders to the clients. This will keep your client in the loop and avoid scheduling conflicts. A lot of these programs actually that have the automated calendar usually sends a link to the client as well in case they need to reschedule. They can click the link and reschedule anytime. And so it makes it really useful for them. So after we have the console set, we go down to intake. And intake helps you collect information about your clients that are going to help you better assess their needs. So utilizing online systems to collect intake is highly valuable. For instance, Smith.ai collects intake, and I'm not sure if they utilize a program or if they have a set of questions flows.
Whatever program you use. So if it's Clio Grow, if it's Lawmatics, Lead Docket, etc.
Nice.
Mhm.
So what I've recommended for specifically for legal focused companies, I always recommend Community Lawyer, which is a great online intake system, and it has conditional logic and document generation. So basically what that means is after your client fills out the intake, if you're doing estate planning and they want you to draft a power of attorney based off the information they fill in the intake, when it gets sent to you, automatically drafted, it'll send a Word document with all the entries filled out on a power of attorney. And so it's a very powerful system. It's called Community Lawyer. I highly recommend it. For all other industries, I always recommend Dubsado, which is a business management tool that allows contract management, e-signing, client onboarding, automation, a lot more. It's an amazing system. It's primarily what we use for our clients. And so it allows you to do questionnaires and intake and things of that nature. It doesn't have conditional logic, which is one of, I think, something that they are working on, but it's a definite amazing, robust program. You can also utilize a virtual assistant or a secretary that you outsource with to assist clients with completing their intake forms. Sometimes clients just need a little bit more hand holding, and you can utilize these individuals that you outsource to be on call and on demand to assist clients when they need it. So when we make it down to retainer, once you get to the retainer stage, you want it to be easy for your client to onboard. That includes having online contracts with e-sign capabilities, having an online payment portal, and welcome packets to educate your clients on what they can expect next. That's always something I always heard in law firms. Whenever we had a new client, they say like, well, what's next? What happens next? And so after they sign up, having a welcome packet automatically emailed to them is a great way to curb a lot of questions on your end. And again, as we discussed earlier, after we get that retained client, they go into the new funnel, which is advocacy. And so after retainer, your client goes into advocacy, which is your funnel to provide ongoing customer service and support their needs beyond your immediate service, collecting testimonials for your own marketing, client support ticket system, regular check-ins with clients. Very important to ensure customer satisfaction, because once we have a potential new client or an existing client that isn't happy, that's immediately when they start going to competitors. And so just putting systems in place that you know is going to make your client happy, just having a virtual assistant call the client just to check in, see how they're doing, things of that nature, it really goes a long way. So this is the phrase I keep repeating over and over. Work on your business, not in your business. So like we discussed earlier, you need to establish your value within your business. That's high growth activities. That's get us new clients, that make us new money, generate new revenue. You want to buy back your own time. And that's when you outsource, you're buying back your own time because you're freeing up time so you can do these growth activities. And everything that you can delegate, outsource. And this is how you work on your business, not in your business.
Not to mention the fact that, you know, especially for paralegals, you can actually bill for that time unique to
Yes.
that one area.
Yes, and that's a great point. Is a lot of attorneys are able, and same with legal clerks, they're able to take that expense and pass it on to clients. The only difference is I don't believe, and maybe other states are different, but in California, I know specifically, we cannot bill for legal secretary time, cannot bill for like virtual assistant time, but you can do that for paralegals and law clerks. And so that's a great way to repurpose that fee so you aren't out any money. So last but not least, again, my name is Stacey, the founder and managing director at Lawfecta. You can find me some places on the internet. I typically go by Legal Stacey. And also we do have the handout. It's called Outsource Like a Pro. So we created this guidebook and it's a 17-page guide. It has more information on how to get started with outsourcing, a worksheet on defining what tasks to outsource, and recommended partners we trust to outsource to. So there's different categories in there of different companies that we recommend to outsource to. Smith.ai will email it to all the attendees, or you can email us directly at hello@lawfecta.com to request your copy, and we'll shoot it right over to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Stacey. I have a few questions and I'll be keeping an eye on the chat for anyone else who has questions since we still have about 15 minutes. You know, one of the questions that we see so often, and we get this question for Smith.ai, I'm sure you get it too, is like, all right, so what's the minimum allotment required to get started? Like, do you have a minimum retainer? If I'm just a, you know, solo entrepreneur, can I work with you guys, or is it going to be outside of my price range?
Yeah, definitely. So our team typically, we have just a 1 hourly rate for each service. So paralegals have their own hourly rate, legal secretaries across the board. And so for us, we operate what we basically say is similar to a law firm retainer model. So basically a client can come to us, and if they select a team member on our team that they want to work with, the attorney or business owner places down a retainer deposit. And so we allow a small amount. Our smallest retainer is 5 hours. So essentially they pay that amount of time equal to the hourly rate. And then that team member will bill against it. And so the system's made to essentially work with small businesses, sole proprietors. We even work with some mid-sized law firms. And so our system is very flexible. Additionally, what we do is we have what we call subscriptions. And so if an attorney will commit to a 3-month commitment to us for a certain amount of hours, we discount our hourly rates. And so like it can be like a $15 difference in the rate if they sign up for a subscription. And so we're very flexible on it because we want as many people as possible to try our service, because we do have a lot of happy clients. We really believe in what it is that we do. And so, yeah, so it's made to be flexible and to support business owners at all different levels.
Okay. All right. Awesome. And I'm seeing some questions coming in. So I'm going to ask some of those live as we have time for them. Just to follow up on sort of the financial part though, what is the sort of range that you would expect? You know, is it around $40, $50 an hour?
Yeah, so our paralegals work at $55 an hour. Our legal secretaries are $42 an hour, and our virtual assistants are $35 an hour. Our paralegals subscriptions, they go down to $44 an hour. I believe legal secretaries go down to, off the top of my head, I think it's 34, and virtual assistant, I believe, goes down to 27 on subscription. And so those numbers change depending, the subscription numbers change, but our standard rate is what we call our flex retainer rate, where there's no commitments, and some attorneys place 5 hours down and then don't come back for like, 6 months when now all of a sudden they have something on their plate.
Surge of
So,
work. Right.
yeah. So it's literally on demand as they need it. Flex is made to be very flexible and basically whenever they need assistance. But those rates are just flat. 55 for paralegal, 42 for legal secretary, and 35 for virtual assistant.
Okay, awesome. And obviously that's extremely reasonable. You're not paying for like benefits and insurance on top of that and work perks. And when we used to commute as much as we did, you know, gas and food and things like that we offer as perks to staff. So that actually, that rate is everything, right? Like there's no extra fee. Do you charge
Yeah.
a setup fee or anything like that?
No, we don't have any added fees, no administrative fees. It's all the money that they pay goes directly to their work.
Okay. And how soon
Setup
can you
fees
get
or anything.
started? Oh, sorry. What was that, Stacey?
Oh, sorry, I was just saying no setup fees or anything of that nature.
Nice. And how soon can you get started? Let's say that I'm here today on this webinar and I want to use you. I have this project in mind. What does it look like for me over the next few days or week?
So we've had clients find us and sign up same day and get working with a paralegal. So it's
Wow.
really just the whatever the client needs and whatever they want. They want to vet a few people. So what happens is a client will land on our website and either they can reach out to us directly and say, hey, I'm a personal injury law firm. This is what I'm looking for. And we'll send them over team members that are available and disciplined in that area of law. Or attorneys can sign up to view what we call our resume portal. And so they can sign up and they can filter through our available team members by area of law or skill set. And so they can look at their online resume, see their experience, what it is they handle. We even have writing samples available for them that they can view on our website. And then if they want to move forward with that individual and potentially talk about working together, we have an online calendaring system directly through the resume that an attorney can set up an introductory call with that paralegal or legal secretary to discuss more about working together to see if they're going to be a better fit. And so after that, the attorney goes to our onboarding system. It's all automated. They select how many hours they want and things of that nature. It takes them to the contract. They e-sign online. They place their deposit and then they're ready to go. They get the information for their team member automated. It's automated to be emailed to them. So they get it directly and then their system gets set up and we're ready to go. And so we've had clients on board same day. Some clients want to, talk to 2 or 3 different people and make a decision over the course of a few days. So it's really just depending on the immediate needs of the client. But we can do same day. We are set up to be very fast.
That's awesome. I absolutely love that. And when the hunger strikes, that sense of need, as I'm sure many folks who are on this call understand from their clients who come to you with that same sense of urgency, when that need is felt within you, you feel it strongly and you want to, solve that problem almost right then and there. So what are the most popular or common legal services, paralegal services that your team is asked to do?
I wouldn't say that we have anything in particularly that's most popular. It's just mainly document drafting. Legal document drafting is very heavy for our paralegals to do. And for our legal secretaries, a lot of them just do a lot of email management, a lot of like e-filing for attorneys. But every law firm that comes to us kind of has their own specific needs. Like an estate planning firm that all just does transactional documents has a significantly different needs than like a family law firm. And so a lot of drafting, a lot of client communication, because one thing we tell our clients is we like to be what we call white labeled outsourcing company. So we want to be able to connect with vendors and the court and the attorney's clients. And how we do that is we do branded emails under the client's company name. So it doesn't ever look like we're calling from Lawfecta or emailing from Lawfecta. It looks like we're in-house for that attorney or that law firm or that business.
Nice. Yeah, that's excellent. And you have the professionalism of a larger team without the financial burden, which is really fantastic. Now, is there any sort of system that your clients need to use? Do they log into your portal? Are there any tools that they will need to have handy if they're working with your team?
Nope. So basically, what we do is attorneys come to us, and after they onboard, we give them a new client questionnaire that gets sent to them automatically. And it asks, what systems do you use? Use Clio, Practice Panther, things of that nature, so that we can, what's the login for our team member? And we collect that information. And so, what a lot of our team members do is they actually go through training for different case management practice programs. So there's like a Clio boot camp that a lot of them do. We have a lot of Practice Panther training, Filevine, a lot of different ones, because basically we want to be able to mold into what they need, the client needs us to do, instead of requiring them to utilize something that we want. And so the only difference of our system is our billing system. It's just they can log on anytime and see where their retainer's at, see what billing entries have been submitted on their account, but they don't have to. Every Monday we do billing and we send it to them, so they don't ever even have to log on to there. But we don't require them to utilize any specific program, because whether they use Outlook, Gmail, Clio, Practice Panther, whatever, we want to be able to mold with them and be flexible.
And what is the average sort of experience of the paralegals who are working with you? And what are some things that you're looking for that might not be intuitive to the attorney or business owner if they're looking for virtual assistants, that thinks that they know how to hire someone, but you've learned over the years, you really look for certain qualities that might not be intuitive?
Yeah, definitely. So all of our team members, everybody who works for us, has to have a minimum of 10 years of experience in the legal industry. So it's a requirement that we have. Most individuals, some people have upwards of 20, 25 years. So they're very seasoned, as well as our legal secretary. So across the board, when we vet people, that's something that we do not waver on. And so when we hire, like I said earlier, we have a really rigorous hiring program. And so and maybe as a business owner, I'm kind of anal, but I require to talk with anybody who gets interviewed at our company. I do every single interview, because, in terms of the way I hire, I'm able to have those higher level conversations with these paralegals to kind of really understand, because I was a paralegal. And so I kind of have a better understanding of what it is they're talking about, versus, when I worked in law firms and I would interview candidates with my attorneys, it was easier for me to vet whether or not they actually knew that what they were talking about, because I did the same level of work as they did, versus our attorney did different types of work. So for me, I feel like we can vet better our team members, because of the experience I have under my belt in doing that type of work, and kind of vetting out the individuals who maybe sound like they know what they're talking about, over the ones who actually have that knowledge and talk fluidly about their legal experience and what it is that they can do.
That makes a ton of sense to me. So thank you, Stacey, so much. You can see Stacey's information here, and we will be sending a follow-up message, and I will include it in the YouTube video upload so that anyone who watches this, whether you're attending live today or later, can get in touch. We will also include, for those who did register, that handout from Stacey. If you would like a copy of it and you didn't get the email for whatever reason, that I'll be sending shortly, obviously just get in touch with Stacey. I'm sure she will be glad to send it to you. And it is really chock full of resources. And I can say, after having reviewed it, we share a lot of the same taste and recommendations. So you'll see a lot of overlap there in the companies that Smith.ai often recommends. We both are at that center keystone, serving attorneys and businesses, and work with so many of these systems that we have come to realize who are the best players, what are the best practices, not just the funnel that Stacey is talking about, but also the software and the programs and the individuals, like, for example, bench accounting, the individuals that help those systems run smoothly and effectively at a cost that any small business owner or entrepreneur can afford. So keep an eye out for those follow-ups for the additional information, dig into them and really devote time to that. I wanted to say thank you so much again to Stacey. And if you would like to start Smith.ai services, you can also use the code Lawfecta 100 for $100 off your first month. So we have created that code just for you, as we're friends here, and we want to encourage you to get started with Smith.ai. If you haven't yet, please do give us a try as a free trial and try out Lawfecta. It is going to make a massive difference in your experience as a business owner. What was once a chore can actually be enjoyable. So hope that you will take control and start using these services, and have a wonderful rest of your day. Thanks so much, everyone.
Thanks so much for having me. Thanks, guys.
Wonderful. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.